Are you frustrated with online dating? Confused by all the new apps and fancy dating sites? Do you find yourself choosing the wrong person again and again? Well, studies show that hiring a dating coach can maximize your online dating experience. So no worries, I've got you. And I've created a virtual course called Doing Dating Right. It's a 5-video series that you can complete at your own pace in your own space, right at home. How to write your online dating bio, pick that perfect picture, and so much more. Want more info? Go to my website at jenniferhurwitz.com. Again, it's jenniferhurwitz.com. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning. This is Doing Relationships Right. I'm Jennifer Hurwitz, and I'm your host every Tuesday and every Friday for Just Jen. But today is Tuesday, so I have a guest. Of course I do. And do you guys know when your partner is cheating? I'm just wondering. Or if he's cheating, or if she's cheating, or how to be safe on a dating app. I have got a private investigator in the house. That sounds so mature, Jan. I sound so grown up. I have a private investigator. I'm just so grown up. I feel so cool. A private investigator in my studio today, Jan Barefoot. Tell me, Jan, everything about you. You've been in the private investigating business for how long? 30 something years.
35 years. This year is our 35th anniversary. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
So I am so excited for this conversation because I did like a Just Jen episode I think last week or the week before.
Yeah.
And it blew up because I forgot that I did it. And I was talking about how to be safe on dating apps.
Right.
And then I was like, you know what? It's a perfect idea because to have you on the show, I'm so excited to talk about how to be safe on dating apps. Like, what do we do when we find out someone is cheating in our life? And I thought, let's just do it. Let's just dive into it and tell me how you got started first. Let's talk about that.
So I'm born and raised in Charlotte, which is kind of a rarity. So it was not my lifelong plan to become a PI. Although the guy I dated in high school takes credit now and says he taught me everything I know because I caught him cheating on me so many times. So anyway, so I thought I wanted to be a legal secretary when I grew up. Went to Keyes Business College, worked with James McElroy Diehl for a couple of years, and then met an investigator that kind of got me into the business, and then started Barefoot Private Investigations in 1986.
Wow. Okay, I have a question right there. So first of all, for people who aren't from Charlotte, Diehl, the law firm Diehl, they're huge. They're a big deal. They're a big deal.
No they are a big deal. Yeah, Bill Diehl was, he's still around. He's not practicing. He's retired, but he definitely was the most well-known, just flamboyant, just wonderful domestic family law attorney in Charlotte. Yes. But he's retired, but the firm lives on, and there are many, many, many fine attorneys there. They have a very large family law practice. So they're awesome.
I remember people saying, if you get divorced, your first call should be Bill Diehl.
Yes, absolutely.
That should be your first call. Right.
Yes.
So I think that's interesting. So how did you even know, like, I know you didn't think you were going to be a private investigator, but do you go to school for that? Do you learn hands-on? How does that happen?
It's hands-on. Every state's different. North Carolina is a state that requires a license, and so they require 3,000 hours of training. So once you're licensed as an associate level license, and then it's just hands-on. So you're out in the field, you're doing surveillance, you're writing reports, you're doing background investigations, just anything you can just absorb like a sponge, basically. Yeah. And then you do that for 3,000 hours. And then you have the ability to start your own business after that. And so that's what I did. Yeah.
Gotcha. So did you start with people like adultery, and did you go right, or did you start, what did you start with?
I started with any case that came in the door, honestly. Really.
Let's just give it to me.
Really, surveillance is a big piece of it. So it's a lot of family law surveillance, a lot of child custody, workers' comp, personal injury. But then among all those things, we also do background investigations for a variety of reasons. Everything from, online dating situations, nannies, the boyfriend of your college daughter, just lots of different reasons why you might want to do due diligence, including like a business opportunity. You might find someone that wants to invest in your business or wants you to invest in their business. And so you want to do some due diligence on them to find out who you're dealing with.
That's so smart. Okay, so I'm going to just dive right in here because I know that my listeners are all about online dating safety.
Yeah.
And of course, we've talked before about my lovely issues that I've had online. And, it's really true that, like, especially now with everybody, with COVID and you're online more, I
Yeah.
think hopefully we'll get out there sooner. But it's not so fun, Jan. It's not so fun. It's been tough. And my
Yeah.
clients have had a hard time. So
Yeah.
what can we do? What are some red signs that we, how do we date safer? Like, what do you think? What do you recommend?
Well, I mean, there's so many people out there that are just online to take advantage of other people. I mean, that's their purpose. They're out
Right.
there just trolling for people who are recently divorced or people who are recently widowed. I remember I had one lady. She had lost her husband, and then she got married again, and then that husband died, and then she got involved with a guy who was just scamming her out of money. It was just money for this and money for that. So that's just a huge red flag. Anytime somebody online starts asking for money, and that happens so much more often than you might think.
It really
And
does.
it happens soon too, because that's a lot of times that's their end game. And so they want to get to, making you feel good about yourself, making
Yep.
you think that they just love you and they want to spend the rest of their life with you. And then, oh, I need money. I'm going to, I need a plane ticket. I'm going to come
Right.
and see you. Or I need to get, I haven't gotten back my IRS refund check, but as soon as I get it, I'm gonna pay you back. But I just need money for this if you'll only help me.
Right.
Yeah, and some of the red flags are, if you don't ever get to see the person in person, or you can't even really have a phone conversation with them, those are huge red flags.
Absolutely.
Anytime or oftentimes when people are out of the country and they're trying to connect with you, I mean, realistically, why would someone in another country be trying to connect with someone in a particular city here in the US? The odds of that are really slim unless they're just really up to no good.
Right.
We often see stories of people who claim they're in the military and they're going to be getting
That
out
happens a
in,
lot.
30, 60 days. And if you send me money, I can exit early. And as long as I can pay for a flight, they've decided they can let me go home. So I'll come and see you and, wire me the money. So those are just huge red flags that you just need to look out for and then run very
Yeah.
quickly.
And these men are, and men, what they're convincing. They're very
Very
convincing. And I always, my
convincing.
clients, and even, they feel so stupid. These women are
Hmm.
like, how did I not know? How is it not like, but they come on strong and hard and fast, and
Right.
they are manipulative. They
Right.
really are.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And
And
the reason you don't know is because you don't hire a PI. So,
there we go. Okay.
right,
Right. So what do we
right.
do? So let's say, for example, you're online and you're talking to this guy for a couple weeks, because a lot of times it takes a couple weeks now, and which I always yell at my clients. I'm like, it's too long. You know, a week you're texting, get on a video chat, get a date in person. I feel like you need to move quicker these days. 2 weeks you're talking to someone, 3 weeks, that's too long. But
Yeah,
let's say you're talking for 3 weeks,
yeah,
and this person is, you think he's good, you think he's, a good guy, or she's a good person. What do you do? Like, what if you have that weird feeling in your stomach, which I've had, and you think to yourself, I should be running. There's got to be a way. Google doesn't help you. You need more.
yeah. The thing about Google is, you have these really quick background checks where it's $25 or
Right.
$35. Um, First off, there's no such thing as a national background check. So
Okay.
sometimes they offer that and advertise that. It doesn't exist except for FBI type access. So you definitely want to steer clear of those. But so my suggestion is you can't do a background check on everybody that you meet online. When you meet someone, if you talk about meeting for coffee or at a restaurant, certainly meet at a public place.
Right.
And once you start getting into the relationship, that's really when you want to check them out. Make sure, are they who they say they are? Are they married?
Oh,
Let's make sure that they are
oh
they
God,
are
how many times has
divorced
that
or
happened?
at
For God's
least
sakes. Yeah.
yes, absolutely legally separated. Make sure they work where they say they work. Make sure they own the home that they say that they own. Those are just very quick, easy things that you want to check out. We can make sure they're not involved in any civil lawsuits. Of course, we're going to do a criminal records check. We want to make sure they don't have, $50,000 in IRS tax liens against them, because that's not somebody that you really want to connect with,
Right.
that doesn't necessarily make them a horrible person. They could have gotten involved in a bad business deal,
Sure.
but those are just red flags that you want to keep digging and look further into. And then you can make your decision as to whether or not, hey, I really like this person. I want to learn more about them. But the most important thing, I think, is just be safe. You don't want to be alone with that person. You don't want to bring them back to your home. You don't want to go back to their home unless you've done a criminal records check on him. I mean, we had a case recently where a client was involved with this person. She had gotten very, very close with him. He was spending time at her house overnight for several weeks, and something just wasn't feeling right about it all of a sudden. And she called us, and we found numerous assault on female charges, numerous domestic violence protective
Been there.
order,
Yes.
and those are things that we can check out fairly quickly. And
Okay.
so, fortunately, nothing happened with her, and she was able to get out of the situation, once she found that out. But you don't want it to be too late. You don't want to find out the hard way.
No.
Plus, the more time goes by, the more they're charming you, and the more you sort of
Yes.
fall
Yes.
for
Yes.
them, and you feel
Yes.
connected to
I was
them.
just going to say that. Yes.
And so it makes it harder to break away. So if
Absolutely.
you're connected with them already and you're kind of serious with them, and then you find out those things, then they're just going to try to explain it away. And so
Right.
you want to believe them, you want to give them the benefit
Of
of the
course.
doubt, and
Right.
then you're just kind of in a messy situation. So my
Absolutely.
recommendation is just do it on the front end, not before the first meeting, but at least at
Right.
some point
Right. Somewhere.
into it. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. That is such a great point because you're right. By the time you're in a couple months, right,
Yeah.
and then you want to trust this person, and they've made you believe that they're a good human, and then you find out that they have criminal charges. You're like,
Right.
you would think it would be just so easy to let go, but they've well, it was a circumstance, and she led me to, and then you're like, who do you? I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
It should be on the front end.
And there
Yeah.
are those circumstances, and that's the reason the national, online criminal background checks don't work, because there are circumstances. I mean, I've
Right.
had male clients where the wife has taken out a domestic violence restraining order against the person, and
Right.
it didn't really happen. And sometimes that's a he said she said. But
Mhm.
when we're able to start digging into things closer and looking really at things like calls for service to the house, or the criminal record on the ex-spouse, those kind of things, we dig deeper to say, okay, does this make sense? How does this feel in your gut now that you have all the information? But if you don't have all the information, then you can't use your gut feel with that.
Right. So how and it's not that out of the ordinary, right, to run a background check. I don't
No,
think
not
it's
at
the
all.
craziest thing.
Not
I
at
think you
all.
should be
No.
doing, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
mean
not that expensive.
it's a common request. It's very
It is.
common. So if you're thinking about doing a background check, don't think, oh my gosh, that's only on television, or only terrible people don't trust people to do background checks.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's where we are in society. We're at
Okay.
online dating, and I don't know what the percentages are, but there's a lot of high percentage that meet their significant others online
Yes.
these days.
Yes.
And so that's just where we are. And so it's the world we live in, and you just need to live it safely.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay. So now what happens when my next question for you, Jan, when you've done a background check, right, and everything's okay. Do you we talked about this, I think, before, but I always feel like, do you tell the person you did a background check, or do you just leave that? You're like, gonna never tell them. You just see what I'm saying? I'm like, do I tell him? Do I not tell him? He's fine. He'll never find out. But I feel like that's like, what do you think? Where do you sit
Yeah,
with
I
that?
mean, that's certainly a personal decision. I mean, certainly if you do a background check and you find things that you don't like,
Sure.
then you can choose to either say, sorry, I'm not interested anymore, just move
Yeah.
on. Or you
Mhm.
could say, hey, look, dude, I found these criminal charges against you, and I'm not real happy with it, so I'm ready to move on.
Which is fine. Yeah.
If it's something that you're happy with and there's not any huge red flags, then that's your personal decision as to whether you want to tell them or not. People who get upset about you doing a background check, you want to think, all right, what are you
That's a
hiding?
red
Why are
flag.
you? Yeah, that's a red flag in and of itself. I think I've mentioned to you the thing that just really gets me is when I might have a wife that comes to me because she thinks her husband's cheating on her. And she'll say, "Oh my gosh, please, I don't want you to get caught. He would kill me if he ever knew." Of course, our goal is to not get caught for sure.
Right.
But
Right.
listen to what you're saying. You're saying that he
Exactly.
would kill you if he knew that you hired someone to follow him who's having an affair.
Right.
So,
I know, right? But I think at that point, I don't know. I've never been there, but I feel like because she's worried that if you don't find out that he's cheating,
right.
right, and then he's clean and he hasn't done it, then she feels guilty that she. But I think if she's sitting in your office, she knows. Don't you feel that way?
99.8% of
Okay.
the time, if they have taken the time to make the call to us or go see an attorney who tells them to make the call,
Yep.
then where there's smoke, there's fire.
I agree.
It's sad, but it's 99% of the time.
I agree. So that little segue to my next question, which all my listeners were like, "Oh, you have to ask her." When do you, if you're in a relationship or you're married, when is like, what are some red flags that you need that it's time that obviously I know what to look for when I tell my clients that emotionally cheating and cheating, but when's a big red flag that it's time to get that background check and that there's something going on? If co-parenting during a pandemic taught us anything, it's that you need proof your kids are safe. With alcohol abuse on the rise, many co-parents are turning to the no-nonsense system committed to providing proof, protection, and peace of mind. Soberlink's alcohol monitoring system is the most convenient, reliable, and reasonable way for a parent to provide evidence that they are not drinking during parenting time. Soberlink's real-time alerts make it easy to negotiate with any party. Judges rest assured that the child is safe. Attorneys get court-admissible evidence of sobriety, and both parents have empowerment and peace of mind. Do divorce right and trust the experts in remote alcohol monitoring technology to keep your kids safe, happy, and well-adjusted. To download the guide, 5 non-negotiables for embracing a new normal that I developed with Soberlink, visit www.soberlink.com/DRR.
Well,
There's so many. You could talk all day about this, I'm sure.
I could talk all day. I mean, there's lots of red flags, but
Sure.
when they start changing their wardrobe, when they've updated their wardrobe, when they are all of a sudden working out and losing weight, and that doesn't mean that every person that wants to lose weight is having an affair
No.
by any means, but combination with other things, maybe you had the passcode to their phone for 10 years and now all of a sudden you don't.
Oh, that's a huge one. That's a good one. That's a
Definitely.
good one. Yeah.
If work has been pretty standard for a while and then all of a sudden I've got to work overtime or I've got to work Saturdays or, they've got work meetings at night or, there's just times where you can't reach them. That's out of the norm. Certainly people are in meetings and things and they can't be available 24/7, but anytime you just start seeing a couple of things like that pile up, it's usually time to call and just get some answers. And the biggest mistake that I think people make is they'll see a little hint of something and then they'll confront the person because they want the truth and they want them to just tell them, tell me what's going on. Again, I hate to use 99% all the time, but it's 99% of us don't confess. They just don't. Right. They don't want to be called, and so I tell people just watch and listen and learn and take notes and then call us when you're ready to move forward because
that's such great advice.
Because when you confront them, they're just gonna lie, and then that's gonna make them suspicious. So that's gonna make them become more cautious, be more careful, which makes our job harder. So if you've got the husband that's caught his wife on some text messaging and he's confronted her, or he's caught her not being where she's supposed to be and he's confronted her, then you have a problem with they get suspicious.
Sure.
And so, they start looking out for the person. They start or the wife following them, or the husband following them, and then they're looking out for us following them.
And also, I feel like sometimes they shut it down, right?
Yeah.
And then
they never stop. They never stop.
They never stop.
No,
I
they
love
never
this.
stop.
This is a great episode. They never stop. Okay.
They never stop. They never stop. They just become more cautious, and they think they're just being smarter, and they're just paranoid. So they will continue to see that person until they've destroyed their family,
Oh,
or they've just moved on. I mean, they
gotcha.
just usually do.
They usually do. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so tell me this: how much is a background check with you? Oh, wait. First of all, can everybody call you, or you're just in North? Are you just in North Carolina?
No, anybody can call us. We
Oh,
can do
fabulous! Great,
background checks, really all across the U.S. If it's
excellent.
something that we can't handle, then we have resources and we can,
Okay,
that we can collaborate with.
good to know. Okay, so all of the information to find you, Jan, is going to be on the show notes
Yeah.
everywhere, so we make sure that people can find you, because I think that this is super important for safety reasons, for
Yeah.
marriage reasons, for relationship reasons. I think it's amazing. So, what was I going to ask you again? Oh yeah,
You're asking about how much a background
yeah,
check is. Yeah.
yes. I mean, is it different levels? Is it like you do some work or whatever, or it's just like one?
Well, there are different levels, but primarily a background check in a situation like this is really going to run you around between $400 and $700. It the price typically increases if they've lived in multiple states, multiple cities, because we do that background check on lots of different levels. So, if they've lived in 5 different states, then we're going to want to go to all 5 of those states, because you don't want to just do the one they're living in now, especially
No,
if they've just lived here for 2 or 3 years.
right.
So sometimes the more places they've lived, the greater the cost, and sometimes the more things we find, the greater the cost, because it just takes time
Sure.
to gather that information and then find follow up information that's necessary.
And if that tells you anything, is that $25 one on Google isn't that's not worth your
No,
money, everybody. That's
no,
not that's not
absolutely not.
right. You know
Save
what I'm
your
saying?
money.
The real ones are worth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You get what you pay for, as far
Absolutely.
as I'm concerned, because those stupid
Absolutely.
$25 ones, you're not getting anything.
Right.
So if you want a background check and you want to do it right, then you have to go to a professional, which
Yes.
is why I have you here, because
Yeah.
I just really think I saw that. I've been watching that show, Nine Perfect Strangers.
Yes.
On, have you started it yet or
I
no?
have
Did you
not.
get
I've
you?
heard
Oh
about it
my
though.
god. Okay, I'm almost done with it. I'm not gonna ruin it
Okay.
or whatever, spoil it for anyone. But there's a character on there that was at a romance scam, and we call them romance scams, like we were
Right.
talking about before. And
Yeah.
she was taken for a year and a half. She was with this guy, and he kept saying, it's long distance, and she never met him, and she kept sending him money, and he said his kid was sick,
Mm.
and I'm like, oh Mike, and you feel so badly for her, because you feel like, how dumb can you be? But you know what? The way she spoke about it, like, I kind of like understand like where she's coming from, because it's so disheartening that someone could be taken advantage of
Yeah.
that horribly, but it happens.
Well,
It
and when
happens.
you've been through divorce or the loss of a spouse, I mean,
Yeah,
you're vulnerable and you just
absolutely.
want, you're seeking attention, you need
Yeah.
companionship, and it's very sad, but the bad guys just take advantage of that. They know that all the right things to
Yep.
say and all the right things to do, but that's a red flag. If you haven't met them,
Oh
then
my
if you
God.
haven't
Right.
met them in person, you know, they they may just be scamming you, not interested at all, but they also may be married. I mean, you want to make sure that that person's not married.
Happened to me. Happened to
Yeah.
me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was dating a guy who was married, and but the red flags for me is I never saw his apartment. I never saw his, he kept me, we met at an hotel. I mean, I was like, really, thank God it was only 3 weeks, but I mean,
I've actually had clients that called me and would say that their husbands would tell them that they were employed with the CIA and they were going off on secret missions. And so they couldn't tell them where they were going and when they would be back. And so they couldn't call them while they were gone. I mean, just
oh my God.
crazy, like undercover type stories. And it's just crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. So what do you think about burner phones, Batman phones, with the guys who have two phones? Or is that a real thing? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it
It's
is. Oh,
definitely. Yeah.
so if a guy
Absolutely.
has two phones, shows up on a date, has two phones, or he says one's for work and the other one, that's a red flag.
I mean, there are people who have personal phones and work phones, but somehow you need to be able to verify that. Yeah.
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 Oh my gosh.
The
There's
burner
so
phones
much.
are, yeah, that's
It's
trouble.
crazy. And then there's also everyone's my clients are like, well, we used to we used to talk on WhatsApp
Hmm.
because my wife couldn't see or whatever. I'm like, oh my, like, it's just everyone has
Yeah.
it's just unbelievable to
Yeah.
me.
It's
Yeah.
very, yeah. People that are having affairs are definitely shying away from the standard text,
Yeah.
SMS or
Yeah.
iMessaging, and going to the third party apps for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
WhatsApp is very popular.
A big one.
And we
Everyone
can
says this.
certainly do digital forensics as well if you are in a situation where you need that done to your spouse's phone.
See, so that's why you hire you. Like,
Right.
I feel like it's the same thing when you're like trying to label someone a narcissist. You're trying to find a job. Everyone's like, oh, I go on WebMD and he fits all the. I'm like, WebMD is not a doctor, and
No.
Google is not going to do a background check, right? I mean, like,
Right.
give me a break, y'all.
Absolutely.
Go. Like, my gosh, pay the money, the extra money to get it done right.
Yeah.
We're doing
And
relationships right here. We're doing background checks right. We're doing it all right because it just is worth it to not
yeah.
go through the oh my gosh, the heartache of it all. It's just,
Right.
I mean,
Well,
and I've been
not
there. I've
only
been there.
aside from what you may end up paying them, if they continue to ask for money, you could have paid a private investigator to do a
Right.
background check. And as you said, $400 on the front end is going to save you a lot of emotional heartache on the back end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially if kids are involved too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, oh my gosh, it's like, I mean, when I think of the guys that I introduced my kids to, and I'm like, oh my God, if I just would have done, oh, I could go on for days. I just love this episode
Right.
because, right? I mean, I have friends that are like, I was on this dating app and this guy told me, I'm like, I can't even, I've got Jan. So, it's like, so any other big like tips or little nuggets or red flags that you think that are important that we should know?
I mean, the two big things are really just money and them not wanting to meet you, and just moving too quickly to get you into a private space. I mean,
Oh, okay.
there's nothing wrong with your first 10 dates being out in public,
Okay.
at a Starbucks or at a restaurant. You don't have to have that private information. I mean, that private time with them until you're comfortable with who they are. And so I would just encourage people, you don't want to put yourself in that situation where you could be in danger until you really know the person is who they say they are.
Yeah, this love bombing thing, which is everyone's the love bombing. They come on so strong and so fast, and they make you believe that you're the
Right.
person in the best. And what it really is, it is really sad. I
Hmm.
mean, because it happens, and these women, and me, I was one of them. And like, I just believed that this guy loved me and he was into me, and and it just takes over your emotions, and you're so vulnerable. And it's just,
Right.
one more question for you. So a lot of my clients, and this seems to be with the younger, I'm 49. So the younger, like 30, 35, 20, probably 25 to 35 year olds,
Yeah.
they say that that they're okay with someone saying, I'm not giving you my last name. I don't care if they give me your last name. And I'm like, okay, if someone doesn't give you their last name, I'm sorry, you don't see them.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Even
Okay.
I wouldn't even meet somebody at Starbucks if I
I
didn't
agree.
know their last name.
I agree. And so
Yeah.
like, I remember saying to someone, what's your last name? And he was like, well, I'm not giving it to you because, um, you don't need to know it yet. We haven't met. And I was like, if you think that I'm meeting you anywhere without you giving
Right.
me your last name, he's like, well, why do you want my last name? And I was like,
Why
I just
else?
think it's, I was like, I think it's important that I wanted to say it so I can do a Google background check on you, but now I'm going to
Right.
call Jan. Like, did
Right.
you see what I'm saying? But like, why wouldn't you, what is so weird about exchanging last names?
Hmm.
And he was like, well, I
Probably.
think it's weird that you're asking me for it.
Yeah, probably, and maybe because they were married, that would be a good
Yes.
reason why they wouldn't give you
Yes.
their last name. So you couldn't Google them and find out that they were married.
Yes, Jan, you're right. That is why
Yeah.
we have you here. I'm saying that because you know what? It's true that when you're caught up in the emotions of it all, and I was just like, I was so mad, and I was thinking, but then I talked to another person I remember dating, and she was like, "Oh, I never give my last name," and I felt stupid.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You don't give your last name to?" She's like, "Well, I don't want people googling me." I was like, "This is just
Okay.
the dumb." I'm like, "I'm done. I'm gonna start coaching people because
Right.
this is so
Right.
funny. It's just such a mess. It really is.
Yeah, it
Online
really
dating is
is.
hard. It's difficult.
Yeah, it's very hard. It is
Yeah.
definitely hard.
And I think a lot of the dating apps now have they've tried to make it much easier with the video chatting
Hmm.
aspect of it, which is nice because you have to video um, meet someone before you see them or before
Right.
you meet them, which is nice. That's a nice
Right.
aspect of it. A nice feature. I like that. So, hopefully it'll get better. I hope for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more dating apps that pop up there, the more problems that they're going to be. People are just going to figure out how to best use any particular app to their advantage.
Advantage.
So,
Yep.
you need to be safe. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect your kids. You need to protect your finances, um, and just not throw yourself out there until you really know who you're dealing with.
And how do you feel about reporting people on dating apps? Do you think there's any point in that or no?
I don't think I think the dating apps probably are going to make you check the boxes for all the waivers so that they're not liable for anything. So I
Okay.
think that might be just a waste of time. It's just, it's best to just get away from them and not,
Gotcha.
just remove yourself from
Block
them and
'em,
not have
block
anything to
'em.
do with it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jan, this has been amazing. I mean, this
Thank
has
you.
just been chock full of information
Right.
that I think everybody needs. And, married, relationship, dating, we've covered it all today.
Yes.
We've covered it all. So your information is going to be in the show notes so everybody can find you. Jan
Okay.
Barefoot. And it's Barefoot right behind you. Barefoot Professional Investigator. Look at that.
Right.
It's right there. Look at that. See, I used to have a sign here, but it didn't. It's falling down and stuff. So I need to be more professional, obviously.
Oh, you're great.
But
You're
Jan,
great.
thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. I really do.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
I loved it. And everybody, so Jan's information will be in the show notes, and you know where to find me. It's jenniferhurwitz.com. It's just easy. Just find me there and do something great today for yourself. And be careful on those dating apps, y'all. And don't do anything crazy. And get a background check. If you think something is weird and you feel something in your gut and your intuition is telling you that something is funky, it probably is funky.
Right. Absolutely.
It doesn't feel, if it smells like poop and it tastes like poop, it's poop.
No question about it.
No question about it. And that's the truth, Hurwitz. That's
Right.
exactly right. So everybody have a wonderful day and peace, love, and so much truth, y'all. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you, Jan. Thank you.